True integrity ball. True integrity ball. True integrity ball to the fall. True integrity ball. Be ready for y'all. True integrity ball. This is true integrity ball.
Hey, I'ma give you a few reasons to stay tuned. It's a new season. We the best in the region. They're not elite like our team is. We remain undefeated. We can't be beaten. We stay on the offensive. We so good at reading the defense. You can bet on us, put your bread on us, and instead I trust. We running the game, but we not in the rush. What's there to discuss? We talking nothing but facts.
And welcome back to True Integrity Ball. I'm your host, Drew. Today, will be a little different. Your boy Sean is handling some family business, so he'll be out today. He was definitely trying to make it, hence the late drop. But he'll be back next week, and I do have his picks, so stay tuned to the end, man. But nonetheless, basically a quarter of the season has been completed. We got a decent feel on who are the contenders and the pretenders, and hopefully we'll continue to see a good, exciting season. Today, we'll talk about the Adams trade news, a few things that I'm surprised by this season. Then the normal, we'll highlight a few players from week 4, the Miami Hurricanes weekly report, then transition into NFL week 5, mention a couple of games that we're looking forward to, and of course, some of those betting picks, man. But first up, like I mentioned, the Davante Adams trade news, the biggest storyline coming out of week 4. Definitely not surprised. This was a topic of discussion during the off season. Unfortunately, it has become a reality. At this moment, any team could use Davante Adams, but his top choices is to reunite, with his former QBs, Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr, the Jets and the Saints. And I know yesterday on Friday, he did put on his IG, the poet Edgar Allan Poe, who was famous for the poem The Raven. So you can add Baltimore Ravens to the list as well. Me personally would love to see him with the Ravens. Lamar can get a true number one. I know Davante is looking to get a Super Bowl. He is, coming towards the end of his career. So I know definitely he would help immensely trying to reach that point. But something should happen sooner or later. With this trade news, man, will be fun to see, where he lands. And I guess continue with the season or whatnot, man. A few things that I, been surprised by coming into the season, or, as far as, September goes. The play of the Washington Commanders, man. I know I picked Jaden Daniels to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I should probably pat myself on the shoulder for that. But wasn't expecting this efficient of a performance. In their first 4 games, I believe they only have punted 4 times. And in the last 2, I don't think they punted at all. Most of the drives has been ended in field goals or touchdowns, man. And I think they had like 2 kneel downs or something like that. But very impressive, to say the least. Brian Robinson, has been playing some good ball as well, man. But on the other hand, we do have some bad play. I guess I'll mention the Jacksonville Jaguars. I was high on them, and that boy Sean, he did have his doubts coming into the season, and he was right. Trevor Lawrence, he lacks the confidence at this moment, missing a lot of throws. He did show some signs of life last week, but, we definitely need to see some consistency. And it doesn't get easier for them as the season progresses with their schedule. But I guess, that is, a couple of surprises that for me, as far as what happened during the season or whatnot, man. But I guess just moving on, just highlight a few players. I guess some good stat lines or whatnot. That boy Sean did mention to me, regarding Nico Collins, man. He had 12 reception, for 151 yards. And I guess just speaking more about him, he's actually leading the league in reception yards with 489 yards. That boy Malik Neighbors, he got the most catches for the season at this moment with 35. Nico right behind him with 30. And then we got Derrick Henry, man. I guess that transition to Baltimore was, I guess, a good move at this moment, or they're probably using him right. But he's leading the league in rushing with 480 yards. Lamar Jackson, he's also in the top 10 and number one for quarterback with 308 rushing yards, man. I am recording this on a Saturday morning. Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, they did have monster days on Thursday. But Geno Smith, he's second in passing yards with 1,182 yards. And then we have Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, tied at 11 for 11 passing touchdowns. And then, we'll speak briefly about the defensive side. Surprisingly, the linebackers from Indianapolis, Nick Cross and EJ Speed, they both lead in the league in tackles with 47. EJ Speed actually lead the league in solo tackles at 33. And then we got Xavier McKinley, man. The Green Bay safety, the free agent signing from the Giants. He's leading the league in interceptions with 4, man. But I guess that is it for week 4. And before we transition into week 5, let's hit the Miami Hurricanes weekly report. Last week, Friday, Virginia Tech did come into town for our first ACC matchup for the year. I actually went to the game, man. It definitely was a fun night. But Miami was pretty much down for the whole game. Virginia Tech, had a pretty good scheme offensively and was able to move the ball. By short tootin', a rush for 141 yards on 19 carries and a touchdown. Their quarterback, Kyron Jones, does some work in the offseason with Cam Ward. He had a decent day with 188 yards in the air and 2 touchdowns, and had a few decent run, finishing with 53 rushing yards. But at the end, it came down to a Hail Mary. Honestly, they ruled it a touchdown. I was leaving the stadium when they were doing the official review. I believe it took them 6 minutes, to look over, and ultimately decided that the catch was no good. And Miami, they escaped with the victory, man. In past years, normally we lose this game, man. But tonight they had got it. And Miami does go on to play on the California Golden Bears, who is at 3-1. Miami do go cross country to play them. 10:30 p.m. kickoff on ESPN. Cal is coming off a bye week. They last played FSU and lost, but they did beat Auburn on the second game of the season, man. Their quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, is from Miami. I believe he came from Christopher Columbus, the high school down here in Miami. And that's where Mario Cristobal went to high school as well, man. So I know Mendoza will be playing with some extra motivation and will be trying to put on a show, man. But I expect Miami to come out slow. Then in the second half, pick it up and pull away to seal the victory, man. But just playing in a different element, playing on the West Coast or whatnot, new ACC alignment, I guess that's where it has come to. But I expect Miami to handle business and Cam Ward continue his Heisman campaign, man. But back to the NFL and moving on to week 5 and a few games looking forward to. One of the games I'm looking forward to is actually, Buffalo going to Houston. Definitely one of the better games of the season and the week at that. This may even be a AFC Championship preview. Houston hasn't looked as elite as they were looking last year, but they are still winning games. Buffalo looking like a juggernaut. Besides that, Ravens games. So I'm expecting points in this game. Two elite quarterbacks battling it out. So definitely a fun game I'm looking forward to. And that boy Sean mentioned to me the Chiefs versus the Saints. Monday Night Football. Knowing him, he's probably looking forward to see these defenses play. These are two of the better defenses in the NFL. And I know he's a big fan of Alvin Kamara, man. So I know he's probably looking forward to him put on the show in prime time. I'll just say, there is injuries for both teams. So definitely a lot of adjustments will need to be made. Then I guess going on, moving on to some of our picks, our betting picks of the week. The first segment, I guess, is our player prop. And the person I'm going with this week is Kyler Murray, man, rush yards over 29 yards. And I know Arizona probably had their worst game last year. So I definitely don't expect the same kind of performance, especially being in the division game, against the 49ers. And truth be told, Kyler Murray normally has decent games against the 49ers, man. So I definitely see a good chance of that boy rushing over 29 yards. And then we got that boy Sean. He got Justin Jefferson going under the 78 and a half receiving yards. I'm just assuming, I don't want to speak for him or anything like that. But just a tough defense going against the Jets, and plus playing in London, so definitely different elements, being played at that moment. And I'm probably assuming that this is probably a fade on Sam Darnold as well. He probably not as high on him as as everybody else, man. So that is cool, man. Then the next segment, our over and under, and Sean actually got the Dolphins and Patriots going over 36 points. So I'll suspect that he probably like Tyler Huntley finally get it going with Hill and Waddle. I know Mostert is supposed to be playing, and Devon A-Chan as well, man. So he probably think they should be, able to move the ball a couple times down the field. And he probably thinks the Pats just do enough to get over that low total, man. So 17-14, can get you over 36 points. And then my over and under for the week, man, I got actually, New Orleans and Kansas City, under the 43. Honestly, man, just injuries on both sides of the ball. And two solid defense playing at this moment, man. So I know both teams gonna make it tough for each other. But Mahomes gonna do what Mahomes do. He normally always find a way. And Derek Carr, they've been showing flashes all season of putting up big points and stuff like that. I know the last 2 weeks hasn't been as dynamic, but playing on prime time, hopefully another week, dealing with the injuries and stuff like that, they'll be able to at least move the ball, at least try to move the ball and try to do something with it, man. But I definitely see a tough matchup for both sides. And yeah, I like it going under the 43 points. Then the next segment, our teaser section, man. I know for me, for this week, I'm going to go ahead and go with Houston. I know some books have them at +1 and some books have them at -1. So hopefully you could catch it at the +1, bring them boys up to 7 points. Because, I guess everybody thinks this game should go down to the wire. So I definitely like them with the 7 points. And the next team I'm going to take is Indy, with the +3. And, bring them up to, I guess, +9. I know there is some question marks regarding the quarterback situation with Anthony Richardson, quarterback situation, injuries, and Anthony Richardson. So we don't know if Anthony Richardson will be playing or Joe Flacco, man. I say that to say that it don't matter which quarterback play. I think, even though I think Joe Flacco will probably give him a better chance to win the game outright, but I know he'll give him, he'll put him in position to keep the game close. And I think, Anthony Richardson, has that same type of potential, but ain't no telling with this injury. And I expect Jacksonville, they should probably have one of the better performances of the season and should probably come out with the win. But I just don't see them blowing them out or anything like that. So I definitely will take Indy and bring them up to that +9, man. So Houston, bring them up to +7, and Indy to +9, man. That's my teaser bet for this week. And then next up, we got our underdog pick, team that made upset. And I guess I'll mention Sean Pick, that boy like Dallas to go ahead and upset Pittsburgh. Like I've been mentioning for the rest of these picks, I'm not sure on the reasoning here. He probably thinks Dallas just have a better team than Pittsburgh. Dallas defense should do just enough, to slow them down. And all I'll mention that Dallas is another team that is dealing with injuries, man. So please take that into account as well. And my underdog pick, man, I actually like Cleveland. I know Cleveland with the +3, man. I think Cleveland defense will be a bit more challenging for Jaden Daniels. And Deshaun should be able to move the ball against Washington, but ain't no telling there. And another thing to watch out is for the Brian Robertson. He is questionable. I think he has some kind of ankle injury, if I'm not mistaken, man. So if he is out, I do like Cleveland even more. Then moving on, to our, I guess, the last segment, our lock of the week. I guess I'll mention mine. I like the LA Rams and Green Bay game going over the 48. Jordan Love, he did put up 22 points in the fourth quarter against Minnesota last week in the loss. So I believe the momentum continues, man, against the Rams defense that's basically been allowing teams to get right on offense, man. So I do expect points from Green Bay. But I do have confidence in Stafford and McVay to put up points as well, man. They definitely not going to lay down. And that good old coaching matchup, man. LaFleur versus McVay. I believe they was all under the coaching staff together from Washington. With Mike Shanahan, I believe, like one of his last couple of years or whatnot, man. So I know definitely they're gonna be excited to play each other. They're gonna try to bring out their best. And I expect a good game, man. Definitely expect a good game. And and as for Sean, he likes Zay Flowers to go over the 4.5 reception. I guess this is just a fade against Cincinnati defense, who has been up and down all season, and probably think they'll make an effort to get Zay Flowers the ball as well. Man, that is it for week 5 and those betting picks, man. Like I always mention, man, hope everybody enjoy the weekend. Hope everybody has a good betting, fantasy, everything. Just hope everything goes smooth for you guys and make some money and you win some matchups, man. And we see you guys next week. Peace.